Hello Year 3s and welcome to your Thursday maths lesson with some arithmetic here. We've got some square numbers actually to start with today in the bronze, some adding of single digit numbers, one digit numbers, and some using your knowledge of multiplication facts. And there's again some square numbers in there. And square numbers, if you have 2 times 2, so you've got 2 rows of 2, when you do that as an array it comes out as a little square shape, and same as 3 by 3, so 3 lots of 3 will come out as a square. And you do that later on actually, working in year 5 you talk about squares and square numbers, so it's always good to have a little look at those. So if whatever number times by itself, the answer is known as a square number. So if you stop the video there for the moment and pause it, and then get ready to have the answers up in a moment. Okay, so here's your answers for those. So you've got 4, 9, 16, 25, 36, 49, 64 for those square numbers. Right, starter now. You've got to have a look at the question. Is really important with this one, because although I can excuse me, although I can see that this beaker has got 800 millilitres in it, that's not the answer to the question. This says how much more water is needed to make a litre, so it's really key that you read the questions carefully and have a look at those, and you can write those down if you're in your book if you're at home, and then get ready for the answer. And then we've got 200 more, because 800, and you can actually use this scale to help you count on. Actually, look, you've got 100, 200 to get to the litres. You can almost use it as a number line, and exactly the same here. You've got 300, so how many more to make it to 1,000, and then you can just count the hundreds up, and you should have 700. So here we are with our poor little pooch, who's obviously not wanting to have that bath, is he there? And we've been looking for. I've been looking for little gifts and things. There's quite a few funny ones with water and animals and children. They're quite good on the internet. But hey, that's it, teacher's life. Holly emptied the teapot into these cups. The teapot was full. So the capacity is what they're talking about here. So the teapot is full up. The capacity of the teapot is 4 cups. And that's what this statement is saying. And they want you to tell, with this little image, if that's true. Is the capacity of this teapot 4 cups? And there's 4 cups here. And if the capacity had filled those 4 cups up, this would look different. So the answer is false, because there's only 3 cups that have been filled here. Okay. So is there more than 1 litre in this container? So here's quite a large container, and this container has been poured into these beakers, and I want you to have a talk with somebody, or talk aloud. What do you think? How do you think you would record this and write it down? How much water was in the container, so if you see if you can work it out, and what would you write down for it, and how would you say that? Okay, so pause the video and have a little talk aloud. Really good to get your language going for maths, and have a little think at the same time. So you can pause it there, and we're going to restart. And so this water's come out of the container. It doesn't say whether it was filled up, so you're not sure if it's the capacity, but it's not asking you whether it's the volume or the capacity, so that's quite good. So is there more than 1 litre? So I can see straight away that there is, because we've got 1 and a little bit more. Okay, so this is 1 litre of water, so, and this is another 300 millilitres. and if we add those together, we can see that the container holds 1 litre 300 millilitres of water, so it is more than 1 litre. Now there are several ways of writing this down, or there's a couple of ways of writing it down, and you could, we know that 1 litre is 1,000 millilitres, but when we find that that the amount exceeds that 1 litre or 1,000 millilitres, we then switch over to make it more convenient, make it easier, to splitting the litres and having whole litres of numbers, and then we have the millilitres, the extra little part, up to 1,000 millilitres, or up to 999 millilitres, and then it becomes another litre. And we do that to keep the numbers actually down. So when we're dealing with bigger numbers, it's just more convenient to have smaller numbers to deal with. Okay, so that's why we have these scales and these different units. Okay, so we have together 1 litre 300 millilitres of water. If you wanted to say you've got 1,300 millilitres of water, that would be okay, because you know that too would be more than 1 litre. But because the question excuse me, is asking you about litres, then you're probably better off to work it out with those litres in it rather than millilitres. Okay, but it wouldn't be wrong if you put down 1,300 millilitres. So this container, this is a guided one now, and you can write one of these down if you want to. This container holds how much water? So we'll have a look at these. It's been poured into these two beakers. It's too much for one. So have a think about that, and you can write that into your book. And what does that container contain? How much is in the first one? And how much is in the second? And then if you write those two side by side, then you will have your answer. So we put those in for you. We've got 1 litre 500 millilitres of water. Now you have the skills to do this already, because you've been working on scales this week for volume, and we've been doing a lot of it. We're taking our time with it, because next week we're going to use this knowledge for problem solving. Okay, so although we it's a little bit slow and it's a little bit repetitive, it's really needed. They're good skills to get you used to, that manipulation and seeing it in different ways. So it's really useful, and it will build up your skills. Okay, so this container contains how much water? So have a look at that one and see if you can answer that one. Now this time we have 2 full litre beakers, and we have a smaller full container of liquid. Okay, but the capacity on those are 1 litre, 1 litre and 500 millilitres, and they're filled right to the top. Okay, so what we need to do now is add the litres up separately to the millilitres. So we've got 1 litre, 2 litres, and then we've finally got our 500 millilitres. So it's very simple. Just take it steady, making sure that you realise that these beakers are different sizes and do have different scales on them, different units on them. Okay, so although actually these units here up to 100, it's the equivalent of this one, the size of the container is bigger, so your scale is larger. Okay, so we've got a big bucket here, and we've got it looks as though it's the capacity of that bucket. It's 1 litre, 2, 3 litres, and we've got the 500 millilitres. So again, we're counting these in litres, and then we've got our millilitres at the end in the smaller container. So it should be that you have the answer of 3 litres, 500 millilitres. Now this container holds 1 litre, well sorry, this container holds nothing at the moment. Here we go. It's got 1 litre and it's a smaller amount in here, so have a read of that scale, see if you can see it from there. It's another litre container and it's up to the second interval, but there's 2 for 100 there. So you'll need to put those together and see if you can write those into your book. And you should have that it's 1 litre. I put 3 litres in there, how naughty. 1 litre, that should be 500 millilitres. Oh, Mrs. London, that's completely wrong. Sorry about that. That should read 1 litre, 100 millilitres, not 500. I think that was probably for the previous one. Okay, so forgive me for that one. Measuring larger capacities in litres and millilitres today. And if you do get to the stage where you have finished this task, do go and see if you can get the jug out of the kitchen, a measuring jug, ask permission first, and some maybe a mixing bowl, or and have a go at using some of those bigger sized containers and seeing if you can work out what their capacity is. You might want to half fill it and have a go. Just getting that idea of rough, of really good estimating. I've had people send me the fact that they've been doing lots of cooking, and that's a really good way of getting that real life idea of how much liquids, that link between real maths, so practical maths, and what we're doing in our work here, because obviously we're not able to at the moment we're not able to give you practical stuff. So do have a look at that and see if you can work out and have a little bit of a practice. Okay, so that real life, how much is a mixing bowl. What's the capacity of that mixing bowl, and see if you can work that out. Okay, we're not asking you to find out the capacity of swimming pools or anything like that. Just a bit of practical maths is always useful. So look and check that interval scale. Okay, making sure that you know exactly how much is in the whole measuring unit. The jug or the beaker. And then you can use that effectively. So find that unit of measure, work out what each individual scale is worth. Look at the top of the liquid, so you're looking at that sort of circular shape, and recording the amount where it actually gets across the scale, where it links, it's up and it meets the scale, and then you can read the scale. Combine and add the litres and the millilitres and record in litres and millilitres. So you can record in L and ml, you don't need to write the full words out. Okay, so here's your questions for today. There are not many of them, and that's one of the reasons I'd like you to do some practical maths as well today, so that you get that experience of having a look and a bit of practical maths. That's one of the reasons. Also, if you've got extra time, because I realise that it's not a huge amount of written work today, you can practice your times tables. We're going to have a little bit of a practice and maybe a little quiz on them later on in the week. So always good to practice those, because they're it builds up your skills. All right. So that's it from me. And I hope that goes really well for you today, and you have a little bit of a go with some practical maths too. Okay, that's it from me. Bye for now.